Good morning, children. In the last class, we have discussed about air pollution. Right? Now let us learn about water. In brief, explained about water also. Water is available on the earth as surface water and underground water. Underground water is completely fresh water only, but the quantity is very limited. Whereas the surface water, most of the water is what? Saline water, which is present in oceans, and remaining water is present in frozen form in polar ice caps and on snow covered mountains, and some amount of water is present in the flowing rivers, and some amount of water is present in the ponds and lakes, right? And water is referred as wonder liquid. Why? Because without water there is no possibility of existence of life. All the biochemical activities that take place inside the living cells, they occur among the biomolecules only in their water dissolved state. Without biochemical reactions inside the cells, there is no possibility of existence of life. Without water, there is no possibility of occurrence of biochemical reactions. So, without water, there is no life. So, only water is referred as wonder liquid. On the earth, most of the water is present as surface water and very less as underground water. Out of the surface water, major amount of water is present in the oceans, which is saline water or salty water, which we cannot use it. Fresh water is present in very less quantity. In that, again, major portion of fresh water is present in the frozen form in both north and south poles and on snow-covered mountains, which is unusable. Usable form of fresh water is present in the rivers, ponds and lakes on surface and in underground as underground water. Thus, the available usable form of fresh water is very limited in quantity. Fresh water is not available in the same level or in the same quantity in all the places, because the availability of fresh water differs from one place to other place based on the conditions of that particular area and soil type also. So many parameters, they play the role for making the water available in that area. Because of the limited availability of fresh water, most of the places are facing water shortage problem. So many people are forced to spend a lot of time in getting the fresh water from the farther places from where actually they are living. Because if they do not have the available fresh water in their given area, then what will they do? Without water there is no life. So to get the water, they just spend a lot of time. Spending a lot of time means they don't wait. They do not wait for water that will come on near to them. They will go and get the water by walking miles together of distance. They will go and get the water, right? Okay. Why water is so necessary? There are several reasons. Okay. First, already we have discussed. All cellular processes take place in a water medium. And cellular processes means the processes that occur inside the cells, they take place in a water medium. All of the biochemical reactions which occur in our body and in our cells, not only in our body and in our cells, in the cells of all living organisms, in the bodies of all the living organisms, the biochemical reactions that take place in the bodies of all the living organisms and in their cells, between different substances or between different biomolecules. They take place in the water dissolved state only. Without these biochemical reactions, there is no possibility of existence of life. If water is not there, there is no possibility of occurrence of these biochemical reactions. So, water plays a pivotal role in maintaining our life or in maintaining the life of living organisms. Only for biochemical reactions is water useful? No. Even the substances that are getting transported internally in the bodies of living organisms, many substances are getting transported from one place to other place. So these particular transport also require water medium. Substances are transported only in their water dissolved state in the bodies of the living organisms. Again we write in our body. So living organisms need to maintain a particular level of water in their bodies in order to be alive. So if a particular level of water is not there, then we say that dehydration, the condition is known as dehydration. Many times you might have heard of people die because of dehydration. If water is not there, people die. In summer, due to sunstroke, many people will die. Why they die? Because the water that is present in their body gets evaporated through the process of sweating, or if any person vomits too much or too heavily, then also dehydration takes place. Then also cells will be getting deprived of water, or cells may be becoming in the condition of not having water. That makes the cells not to carry out any biochemical reactions within them. As our total body is made up of many cells, if the cells are not having the biochemical reactions on, then automatically the entire body is going to get collapse and the person may even die also. That much importance that water is having. So please drink sufficient amount of water, but not excessive. Excessive intake of water also is harmful. Okay, so we need to take enough water, okay, as per our body requirement. In biology, we use two terms, terrestrial and aquatic, to refer the broad habitat of living organisms. What is terrestrial? Terrestrial refers to land dwelling or land living. Means the animal or the plant is living on the land, not in the water. If it is living in the water, then we have to say aquatic. So, terrestrial or land living organisms cannot get rid of the excess salts. If they are given excess salts into their body, they cannot get rid of those excess salts. So they cannot tolerate the salty water from oceans. They cannot drink the salty water. Why? Salty water or saline water contains excess amount of salt in them. If plants or animals that live on the land, if they take the water, the saline water into their body, then the excess salts cannot be getting rid of from the body of the organisms. And they cause exosmosis, and the cells will be getting dehydrated, and the cells will die first, then totally the organism is going to die. If you want, you take a bucket full of salt water and apply the salt water at the base of a plant. The plant will die because they cannot tolerate. Okay, and if we drink excess salt water, it will act like a poison. Our cells will be vomiting out the water. Okay, maximum we can gargle with salt water, but we should not drink the salt water. Right? So what will happen if we take excess salt water into our body cannot get rid of those salts, and the salts will make the cells exosmosized, means they lose the water, or the cells will be getting dehydrated. That results in the fatal condition, even death also. So only terrestrial or land living organisms cannot get rid of excess salt, so they cannot tolerate the saline or salty water from oceans. So, for the survival of terrestrial living organisms, only fresh water is needed. Thus, freshwater sources are needed to be easily accessible for terrestrial plants and animals. So, if fresh water sources are available, then the terrestrial plants and animals will be able to survive in that region. If the freshwater sources are not available in a given region, then the terrestrial plants and animals may not be able to survive in that regions. So, there are greater chances of survival of terrestrial plants and animals where there are freshwater sources. If freshwater sources are there, more chances of survival of terrestrial plants and animals, because the availability of water decides the number of individuals of a species and the biodiversity of that area. So there are greater chances of survival of terrestrial plants and animals where there are freshwater sources, because the availability of water only decides the number of individuals of a species and the biodiversity of that area. Right?